Welcome to Witchdraft. This is Jason Mark Anderman. Today we're going to dive into the confidential disclosure agreement designed for a company to share its business information, its confidential business information with an individual. This can often come up when you're dealing with a sole proprietorship or individual consultant, and you really just want to put them personally on the hook for following all of your obligations. So in this one, the first thing you're going to make sure you nail is really specifying exactly what the business purpose of the discussions are. In this example, it's affiliate marketing outsourcing, which is commonly done to have an expert come in and basically handle getting other websites to put ads out there for you and send you customers, and then you give them a commission on each of that. It's a lot of work involved with that and a fair amount of analytics, so you might want to bring in an expert to help you with it. And this is the kind of agreement that can cover that. First thing you want to make sure you knock off is a good definition of confidential information. You need to first and foremost start thinking about is everything going to be marked as confidential? So the person receiving the information, the individual, clearly knows what's confidential and what isn't. That makes sense if you control the flow of all the documents going to that person. However, if they're going to be on site in your offices with access to everything, you don't want this. You don't want a marking requirement. What you want to say is they have to treat everything as confidential. Also, you might also have a clause that says that you disclose something to them, but you didn't mark it as confidential. Well, you can describe it in a letter within 20 days and basically give them notice after that, so that then they basically have to keep it as confidential. Next thing you're going to make sure you consider is what are the exclusions? Basically, what things basically are not going to be considered confidential information. You want to do this for two reasons. Number one, it's just fundamental fairness. It doesn't make a lot of sense for certain things to fall into this category and for you to enforce your contractual powers against the receiving party for these kinds of things. Number two, it weakens your overall case, the strength of the contract. Judges do not like contracts that overreach and are contrary to previous case law or decisions or public policy. And generally, there are a lot of cases in most jurisdictions that say that these are the kinds of things in these types of exclusions that you cannot protect as confidential information. So you don't want to weaken your contract in general and have the whole thing thrown out. Typical exclusions include stuff that's already out there in the public. You want to make sure that that is definitely not going to be something that the other side has to keep confidential. If they happen to independently develop something that's about the same as yours, but they did so without referring to any of your confidential information, and can prove it with business written records created in the normal course of their business, then that's okay. That's excluded from the definition. And then you also want to start thinking about anything they receive rightfully from a third-party source that happens to be similar to yours. Now you want to kind of dive into the duties, and this is really kind of the heart of the entire agreement. And you're really going to say, hey, non-disclosure. Do not disclose my information, my confidential information, to any third party, anybody else out there. Also, do me a favor and only use it for the obligations you have under the business purpose. Secondly, from time to time we all use subcontractors to help us out with our work, or we might have an agent who represents us and does things for us. You want to make sure when it comes to agents and subcontractors that the receiving party, this individual that you disclose things to, they can't give it to that person unless they get your prior approval, or they make sure that agent or subcontractor signs a confidentiality agreement that's just as strong as the obligations here. You want notice if anything goes wrong and your information gets breached now to a third party, and you want them to return the confidential information within 30 days after you give them notice that, hey, get all this stuff back to me. Also, if for any reason they're required to disclose things by law, make sure that they give you notice and give you time to apply for a protective order. Make sure the term of the agreement lasts for a reasonable amount of time. Typically 1 year is done. Another thing that's a good idea to do is to have the agreement automatically renew from time to time. And that makes sense because a lot of times you'll be disclosing information, your confidentiality agreement will run out, and then you're out of luck. Also, if you have what's called a termination for convenience, you can get out of the agreement at any time, so you don't have to really worry about the term automatically renewing. That's the confidential disclosure agreement. Have fun using Witchdraft.